All right, so I'm the dog, and this is Our Year of the Lord, August 2024, during the Olympics. And this is a shout out or a homage. Oh, we're paying obeisance. We're paying our obeisance to Brian Holtzman. Brian Holtzman, nobody heard about him. We thought maybe he was abducted. We thought maybe somebody had abducted him and was holding him for ransom because we didn't hear nothing from Brian Holtzman for a long ass time. Anyways, I'm the Stupid Dog, and this is a homage, a homily, a big shout out, whatever you say. It's a thing where you're like, hey, Brian Holtzman is the man. Brian Holtzman is the big G money. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I'm a stupid dog. I'm just trying to glob. I haven't been trying to glob for some time. I'm trying to glob. I'm trying to glob onto Brian Holtzman because Brian Holtzman he's the bomb. He's the shizzle. The shizzle. You see what I'm saying? Brian Holtzman, okay? I'm a stupid dog, and I want to be the Brian Holtzman of the Kill Tony world. All right, no. I want to be as is. I want to be as if you were to say the dog is as to Brian Holtzman as Brian Holtzman is to Kill Tony. That's what I want to be. I want to be the Brian Holtzman of Brian Holtzman's world, the way Brian Holtzman is the Brian Holtzman of Kill Tony's world. And that's just what it boils down to. Don't even worry about it. You know, this is a specious scenario. The dog is to Brian Holtzman as is Brian Holtzman is to Kill Tony. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It's stupid, but I think I said it the right way. Just to reiterate, I want to be the Brian Holtzman of Brian Holtzman's world. As is, the dog is as Brian Holtzman is as to Kill Tony. I don't even know what I'm saying. But Kill Tony described Brian Holtzman as an absolute beast. Absolute beast. Tony looked up to Brian because Brian was already closing the comedy store with his dark force of comedy. He's dark. He was like the Darth Vader. Brian Holtzman was like the Darth Vader of comedy in Kill Tony's world. So that's what I was trying to say. I mean, Kill Tony, he always looked up to Brian Holtzman because he was always pushing the limits. Kill Tony described Brian Holtzman as a great and powerful force. Like the way that they described the Wizard of Oz in the Wizard of Oz, the great and powerful Wizard of Oz. Kill Tony said Brian Holtzman's like the great and powerful dark force of comedy. Whatever, it's okay. Don't even worry about it. You know, Brian Holtzman, Brian crushes it. And then Brian goes on to crush his set. The one thing I was going to say is that, stupid dog, is those pants, Brian, we used to call them floods in the old days. We'd say, hey, you waiting for the flood because your cuff of your pants is like 6 inches above your shoe. I mean, Brian, we used to call them floods. Derogatorily meaning, you should have some pants that come down to your shoes. Laurel and Hardy wore their pants hiked up that high. 6 inches above the shoe line. Brian, if you want to be cool with today's youth, I'm a stupid dog. I don't know anything about it, but I would know this. You can't wear floods. You cannot wear those Laurel and Hardy. And like the giant cuff, it looks like you could put those pants around a rain barrel. Like you need suspenders to hold up them pants because they're cut way too large for you, even though you are a large-ass man. You know what I'm saying, Brian? Hey, Brian. Brian, he crushes while standing there in his Laurel and Hardy flood pants. And he comes off as a little needy at the beginning, but then he figures it out. He comes off a little needy. He was a little unsure of himself, but anyways, he goes on to just simply crush except for one other thing. Besides those pants, he come out panting like he had run a marathon, or he was dehydrated. He didn't have his cholesterol or his losartan. He didn't have his blood pressure medicine. He was panting like he just walked up. He just raced that race where they race up the Empire State Building. He was panting like he just was in the Olympics himself. This is an Olympics take. This is a Brian Holtzman Olympics take. So, for the fact that Brian's panting like he was in the Olympics, maybe in the kayaking, who knows, maybe he was in the 400 relay. Brian was, anchoring the 400 relay. They came in last. He was anchoring the 400 relay for Lithuania. They barely made the Olympics. They were the last country to get in, Lithuania. Brian was running the anchor for the Lithuania. But the other thing is that Brian cruises. He cruises through his panting, through all his flood pants, but he doesn't falter on the profanity. Brian announces it's Brian time with profanity. Brian is like, this is the garnish is profanity. You want to have a big entree? You want a flourishing garnish? It's going to be profanity. To put it simply, Brian is as to, a garnish like, I forget what they call it, shredded lettuce, celery's cap, turnip greens, spinach laurels. Brian is to garnish as Brian is to profanity. Brian announces his presence with profanity. He flourishes everything he does with profanity. He garnishes all of his takes or all of his observations or all of his comedy whatevers with profanity. So it's Brian. As long as there's a lot of profanity, you know that it's Brian. Anyways, I'm a big-time Brian fan. This is the dog hoping that I could be as is Brian Holtzman till Kiltony, I want to be the dog to Brian Holtzman. As is Brian Holtzman is till Kiltony, I want to be the dog to Brian Holtzman. Just don't even worry about it. Just whatever. It's okay. Don't even think about it too deeply. Don't even worry about it. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's all right.